Today is Friday, January 16th, the 241st episode of Shea Station. A lot has transpired in the last 24 hours. The Mets do not sign Kyle Tucker, but just hours later the next morning, they sign Bo Bichette instead. All the rumors of the week were Bo Bichette to the Phillies. He apparently had a 7 year, $200 million offer on the table. He picks the Mets instead. 3 years, $126 million with opt outs after every year of the contract. 42 mil a year. The Mets get a bat in the middle of the lineup that they desperately needed. But what does it mean for everybody else on the team? Because there's a lot of moving parts. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jack, aka Jelly Olive. Joining me on very short notice is the man, the extraordinaire, Jerry Blevins. Jerry, your raw reaction. Bo Bichette is a New York Met. What do you got?
Yeah, my raw reaction was like plan B or plan
Yeah.
C, whatever. They have plan. David Stearns has an idea of what he wants to do. Bo Bichette, you know, is the cream of the crop of what's left for the most part. There's a lot of high-end talent. Kyle Tucker is the best. I think Bregman, older but more seasoned, more established championship. But I think Bichette is in that same elite caliber as far as high-end talent. They're going to make it work. There's a lot of more moving parts that have to go. Tucker seemed like an absolutely easy fit for the Mets. Bichette comes into an infield that feels a little crowded now with, what are they going to do with Beatty at third base? Because this feels like he's shifting to third base. So you have Simeon at second, you have Lindor at short, you had Beatty, now you have probably Bichette. Does he slide over to first base? Who knows what the deal is? But I do like it. They needed more thump in the middle of that order. They needed somebody to replace, not replace, but fill in for what they lost with Pete Alonso. And I think Bichette is a piece that could move forward. And they get him at a 3 year deal. So even if it doesn't work, it's short term. It's not gonna. They didn't have to leverage the future via trades. They didn't have to leverage the future by a 7 year deal that they had to back out on. This feels like a smart move, and it definitely solidifies their lineup.
Yeah, I think the tsunami of moves is coming for the Mets now because I think the first domino that was going to fall was getting one of those elite stars in free agency, whether it be Cody Bellinger, whether it be Kyle Tucker, whether it be now Bo Bichette. Because what you got to remember is that the next two free agent classes for hitters are very weak. I forget who it was. I think it might have been Jeff Passan who said on a recent show that the best bat that you might find in the next two free agent classes is someone like Jeremy Pena, and that's a steep drop off from the three guys you're looking at here. You might not feel comfortable with 42 mil a year for Bo Bichette. I'm certainly alarmed by it, but I know that the Mets needed a bat like that if they were going to compete. And now you can feel really good about the top three, even top four of this lineup with Lindor, Soto, Bichette, and Polanco. But you are right to raise that first initial concern of where is everybody going to play? Because Semien has a solid glove at second base. The Mets traded for him. They're attached to that money now. He's going to play. Lindor is obviously your shortstop. Does Brett Beatty move to first base? Does Brett Beatty get traded now? I don't really know. Jorge Polanco looks like he was going to play first base. Is he your solo DH now? Bo Bichette is probably the third baseman. If he was going to sign with the Phillies, it was going to be to play third base, and they probably would have moved on from Alec Boehm. So the Mets have a lot of questions to answer internally. They know Brett Beatty has some versatility that he can bring to the table, but I still view him as an everyday player if he is going to be on this team. But let's not talk about the circumstances of the Mets for a second with everybody else and talk about the type of player that the Mets are getting with Bo Bichette because we keep saying you're getting this great hitter. What I'm really excited about, Jerry, the guy had the second highest batting average in baseball last year. He had three. There's only about 300 hitters left in the game, and we officially have one of them. And I'm really excited about that. He put up 3.5 WAR after a really down year in 2024. He's put up monster seasons in the past. He's led the league in hits twice, MVP votes galore. He's a really exciting at bat to watch. Hits the ball really hard, and I think that it's going to be a very different vibe from having Pete Alonso in the middle of your lineup because that's kind of the inverse of you're getting this raw power. You're getting 35 home runs. He's going to strike out. The average might not be there. You're getting the reverse with Bo Bichette. You're getting multi-hit games. You're getting balls in the gap. You're getting a high batting average. So maybe this fits the Mets' idea for what they want out of their lineup more so. Maybe they're sacrificing slug for more on base. Either way, I'm very excited to watch Bo Bichette hit for a full season.
Me too, man. And I got a little counterpoint. He slugs. This guy
Yeah, he does.
slugs.
That's true.
He had over 40 doubles last season. He's not fleet of foot, and he doesn't have range, and he doesn't have a cannon of an arm. But you don't need range to play third base. You need instincts, and
Right.
shortstops usually have those instincts. So I think his glove will translate well to third base, and I think that was the plan anyway. Um, for him, I think he saw it coming, even though he's young. Kyle Tucker's a better fielder. He's a better base runner. Um, He's got more patience at the plate, like a higher on base percentage. But this Bichette likes to swing the bat and he
Mm.
likes to put the ball in play, and he has a lot of success doing it. Like you said, he's hit over 300, got 44 doubles last year. I just looked it up. I like his approach and I like the mix because you've got the patience in Lindor and Soto, and then you have some aggression on there. I like the approach. I like the way it mixes in with what the Mets are trying to do. I don't think they're done now.
No.
I think there's a pitching side move, whether it's via trade or a free agency, a Fromber, maybe in a short term similar deal to what Bichette signed. I don't know what the moves are, but this shows me that they have a plan moving forward and they have multiple variations of whatever it needs to happen. What a wild 24 hours.
Dude, I know. I mean, I agree with the sentiment that they have a plan because I see a lot of people saying this is a panic move, this is going on tilt, whatever. I understand that the money in the short-term AAV is alarming. I think the plan was get one of those three guys. I don't think the plan was always necessarily get Kyle Tucker or the entire offseason bust. It was just get one of those guys in the lineup if you're going to let the other guys go in Alonso and Nimmo. They got one of the guys. I mean, they added a bona fide all-star bat to the middle of the lineup, and now they have a top three that can go toe-to-toe with the best teams in baseball. It's just not the route we were expecting because we were so close on Kyle Tucker with that 4-year, $220 million offer. He basically took that to the Dodgers. The Dodgers matched the value, exceeded it, and then he signed there. You kind of have to throw up your hands. It's the same thing that happened with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto got the highest offer from the Mets, took it to the Dodgers. They matched it. He signed there. So the Mets make a pivot move here and still accomplish their goal, in my mind, of getting one of those top three marquee bats. It also fits into David Stearns's molding of this payroll to feed into the argument that this is part of a plan because Semyon's on here for the next 3 years. I believe Lindor has 4 years left. This is going to be Bo for 3 years if he doesn't opt out. So again, the plan stays the same of beyond 3 to 4 years, the only guy that's going to be on the books is Juan Soto. So they're trying to clear those books and reset for future free agent classes because, like I mentioned before, the next two free agent classes for hitters are not necessarily spectacular. It's going to be a lot of trading, I think you'll see in the next two off seasons. Speaking of trading, what are the Mets going to do now? They have, what do they have? Six infielders, seven infielders on this active roster, and about two guys that have played major league innings in outfield. They're going to have to make a move. I mean, Luis Angel Acuna is not safe. Ronnie Mauricio is not safe. Mark Vientos is not safe. Brett Beatty's not safe. Any of those guys can move, especially if they're going to bring in major league pitching talent in return. We've seen them linked to Freddie Peralta all off season long. So yes, Jerry, you nailed it on the head. This is going to be the first of many moves in succession for the Mets, and I think it's going to happen relatively quickly because I'm sure this front office has been dying to do things, but they could not necessarily do those things without securing one of the three big bats in the first place. Now that that's done, I think you're going to see a lot more happen next.
Yeah, I think they had their idea of who they wanted the most. I think Kyle Tucker was always their number one, but I don't think they thought his market for 4 years was a possibility. And when that started to come to fruition, they pushed on that. I think Bregman was probably always kind of in line with that. He's a little bit older. He's already signed that short deal and flipped it and turned it into something longer for him in Chicago. And I think Bichette was also a guy that they were willing to go short high AAV to because they don't want to tie yourselves into a guy that can't play the defense for 7 years. They were just waiting and they figured it out. And I think they would have a plan if Bichette signed elsewhere on what they would do. Um, Now we'll see. I think it's pitching side and maybe an
Hmm.
outfielder that they'll start to move. We'll see the ball rolling. You think it's going to be fast just because things happen so fast? I have no idea.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
just know that I just feel like there's something else coming along. Um, Trades usually take a little bit longer because teams like to leverage and look elsewhere and see what other teams are willing to offer it. But I think we'll see something, a combination of outfielder pitcher or straight pitcher. It'll be interesting to see what happens now.
Yeah, right now the slotted everyday left fielder for the opening day roster is Carson Bench, who I really like, but he's never played a major league inning. He just got to AAA at the end of last year. I think you'll see him next year. I think I'd prefer to not see him on opening day, barring injuries or some great spring training performance. The Mets need to get a major leaguer in that
I mean,
spot.
maybe that's Brett Beatty's move out there. I know that he's
Is he an
sampled in it.
outfielder? I mean, I trust
No,
him because he's got a good glove wherever you put him, but
yeah, I mean,
that's a big
we'll
ask.
see. Their versatility is key, especially with Stearns. If you're good enough to hit, you got to find yourself a place. Can you do it? I think that's been Vientos's, Achilles heel, besides, the swing and miss that we saw last year, was the fact that he couldn't play defense.
Yeah.
They can't get you quality at bats consistently if you're not hitting, if you can't go out and play defense. And I think Beatty learned that. He learned third base at a higher level. I think he's capable of figuring it out in the outfield to a point to where he's a league average left fielder. I think it's in there. We'll see if that's ever been a thought for them and based on how he comes into spring training. But you can't be upset with this move if you're Brett Beatty.
Yeah.
The team got better. That's ultimately what you care about. That's the bottom line. This lineup got much better with the addition of Bo Bichette.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure David Stearns and co. love the idea of Brett Beatty as this like super utility piece. Put him in second, put him in first base, third base, left field, and he'll hit for you. I think they like that idea, but I think Brett Beatty has proven he can be a starting everyday player. He was that for the majority of the season last year. I'm still pretty frazzled, man. To see this is another really good case of the Mets front office don't leak anything unless they want the public to know what they're doing. We got the Kyle Tucker offer pretty late last night. We had the rumors of they had a 50 million a year offer in place. I think those leaks were intentional, and you see them signing Bo Bichette. I didn't see them linked to Bo Bichette much at all, and I've been keeping up as much as I can with MLB rumors. It was Phillies, 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 Blue Jays, Blue Jays, Blue Jays, and a little bit of Yankees in there for the past 2 weeks, and suddenly out of nowhere, he signed a deal with the New York Mets. I'm really curious about these opt outs too, because I wonder what kind of season Bo Bichette needs to have to opt out of $42 million AAV. Like I mentioned, weak free agent class coming up. Bo could opt out and instantly become the best hitter on the market and possibly get even more money. I don't think that's completely out of the question. But in this last year, before the CBA runs out, and there was a lot of lockout, scary discourse last night with the Dodgers getting Tucker, the Mets kind of needed to push chips in if they're going to compete in this last year before potentially a lot of things change about the league. So if you're a Mets fan and you're kind of upset about the last 24 hours of events, one, you might be new around here because the old Mets fans are always happy when we get anybody because we used to never get anybody. And two, at the end of the day, they got one of the big four. I kept saying big three, but Bregman should really be included in that deal. And I'm going to be honest, I would have much rather seen them go this route than the Bellinger route, just because of a lot of the things we've been hearing about what Bellinger wants out of his contract between 7 years. He wants guaranteed money. He's not really interested in deferrals or opt outs. And that's kind of what the Yankees have been dealing with in their negotiations for him. I preferred Bichette. I just didn't realize Bichette was actually a realistic option because we heard the Mets link to Bellinger a ton and not really to Bichette at all. So at the end of the day, the Mets get a premium bat and they kind of get it in the terms that they wanted, short term, high AV, because that's what Steve Cohen's wallet really brings to the table. The Mets can afford to open up their payroll, especially after shedding guys like Alonso and Nimmo and freeing up all that money. So they got a lot better today. That's all you can really say.
Facts. And
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't like Bellinger a fit for the Mets in any way except for a short term, a short term rental, that kind of
Right.
thing.
Right.
Um, I don't think his game will last that well. I don't think his power plays better at Citi Field. I think he's using it as leverage for the Yankees. I think he ends up taking a Yankee offer. I think he wants to go there. I think the Mets know that, and they'll offer him something along the same lines as they've been doing.
Yeah, they might not
Um,
even be out yet. That's a good point. I mean, they could afford to add more on payroll.
yeah, so I mean, it's one of more moves to come, but this makes your team better. This is an exciting move for a very young, exciting player. We get to see him, come to Queens from Toronto, gets to stay in the States. I'm excited, man. I think it's a really good move and a sign of things to come.
And also, like, this might be dumb sports fan stuff, but watching Bo come back in the World Series basically on one foot and hit, that heroic home run in game seven of the World Series, like stuff like that gets me really fired up as a fan. Just like proven performer and kind of wanted to be out there, dying to be out there. That's the kind of gene I want from players that I'm giving a lot of money to. And I'm not going to, vouch for any of it because I don't know the guy, but there was a lot of discourse about like, how much Kyle Tucker loves baseball and stuff like that. There was some apprehension from a lot of like reporting and stuff like that. The Cubs didn't even attempt to re-sign Kyle Tucker after trading a lot for him, having him for a year, and then giving similar money to Alex Bregman. So I'm not saying that the Mets dodged anything. Kyle Tucker, I still think, is the best fit for this team of those four guys. He's probably the most talented player, the most dynamic player, but I like what I saw from Bo Bichette last year, especially after his response to a really, really bad year in 2024.
Did you just call Kyle Tucker the 2026 Anthony Rendon?
I didn't say, I actually think that on recording you said that. So we're going to throw together a quote
We'll
graphic
see
and
what we
say that
got.
you said that. Yeah. Okay.
I love Anthony Rendon. I got to play with him at his
That's
peak. He's a
true. You
friend of
did.
mine.
You did.
He was an incredible baseball player when I got to play with him. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. What was he, do you think that he liked baseball when you played with him?
Plead the fifth.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
He worked hard. He played hard. One of my favorite things ever from him, just a sidebar, is when remember the game when he had 10 RBI?
Of course.
Remember his post game quote where he was like, how's it feel to get 10 RBI? He's like, I just felt bad. I didn't want to leave my players out there that long. It was a long day. Like, one of the
What a
most
good
amazing things,
guy.
genuine good dude, tough time in Anaheim. So I
Yeah.
can't believe you said that about Kyle
I
Tucker.
wouldn't say that. I actually think you said that. The last thing we should mention is that this has decent ramifications for the division as well. Because I kept saying Phillies were in the lead for Bo Bichette, kind of felt like a one horse race. Jerry, I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm looking at this Phillies lineup, and they look like they needed a Bo Bichette. I mean, you have Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper in the top three. That's a lock. That's one of the best in baseball. Alec Boehm hitting fourth, Brandon Marsh hitting fifth, Adolis Garcia, Bryson Stott, Rafael Marchand. This is a very different looking Phillies team with no JT Realmuto in there, no Bo Bichette in there. I think they had a lot riding on that signing, and I think it would be naive to say that part of the Mets' intensity in negotiating with Bo Bichette today was keeping him away from the Phillies. I think that's definitely a part of it.
Their rotation wants to argue with our rotation in that
I
same
didn't
manner.
scroll down that far. Is it good? Oh
Even
yeah, it's pretty
without
good.
Ranger Suarez, I think they can
Uh,
still.
Taiwan Walker 4, Andrew Painter 5. I don't know. Braves get hurt a lot. Maybe the division's back in play. I don't know. And at least is weird right
It's
now,
gonna be
man.
fun. It is. It
It's
is.
weird. Yeah. I mean, I said this after the Nimmo trade. I'm a lot more excited about the 2026 season now than I was 24 hours ago. The excitement's gone up again. And I hope that you were wrong about the slowness that might follow this. I don't know. I want more. I want more
Hey,
now.
look,
I've been waiting.
I thought they were punting. I thought they punted this year, and it would
Yeah.
have made sense for me to punt a year. This is, we again, I think they're anticipating Bo Bichette having a great year and opting out and moving back into the free agent market, and then they'll figure it out. They still need pitching. It is
Yeah.
not even close to them not needing. If they want to be real World Series contenders, they need pitching. We'll see how that goes and what they're willing to do. But this is a move. This is one of the moves that makes sense where they're in this year, not out in 4 years. So
Yes.
I like what I'm seeing. The smart moves, very very good planning ahead on the years to come.
Yeah, to your point there. So Carson Bench is right now your left field. You have a left field spot open. Tyrone Taylor's in center field. You kind of have a center field spot open. The bottom four of your bullpen completely open right now, in my opinion, outside of Brooks Raley, AJ Minter, Luke Weaver, Devin Williams. We would like to see them get a starter as well, though those spots are technically filled right now. If you're running the Mets, what do you target next? What specific area of this roster is your next move?
I mean, it's easier to fill in the back end of a bullpen. Pretty easy. They can do that. There's a lot of guys on the market that are very good that get ignored a lot of times. So I think that'll be filled at some point. Um, Outfield, they have some pieces that they can move. I talked about Beatty possibly playing left field, Tyrone Taylor in center field. They can do something there. But to me, if they really are going to compete, they need a front end starter.
Yeah.
And they don't have it. They need a real significant top end starter. And that's the move that I go for.
Yeah, and we just saw Ranger Suarez get, I think, more than 30 mil AAV. He signed a 4 to 5 year deal that was a lot of money with the Red Sox. Their rotation looks fantastic now. I'm still not totally convinced it's going to be Framber Valdez. I know that people have been linking those two a lot together. I just think that Framber doesn't need to take a short term deal, and I think the Mets want their guy to have a short term high AV deal. I think it's going to be a trade, man. I'm hoping it's Freddie Peralta. That dude is electric to watch. The Mets now know that they can deal from third base depth in their system because they have Bo Bichette. I really do think that's the next domino to fall because if they don't act quickly, some other team might act before them.
Yeah. I don't know if the Brewers need a third baseman.
Yeah.
They've got a pretty solid defensive infield. And offensive, he's all right. We'll see. Yeah, they definitely need a high end starter. Freddie Peralta fits that. A lesser Luis Severino doesn't fit that top end, but he would solidify that
Me
kind of
and you both want
rotation.
Sevy so bad.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense, and they have young pieces to move. I just think there's things out there that we're not seeing, just like Bichette signing with the Mets. I did not see that at all as an
No.
option. I think there's moves out there that we're just unfamiliar with that we'll be surprised by.
Yeah, like of that big four, I probably would have put Bo at the bottom. I probably would have put Tucker at the top, then Bregman, Bellinger kind of tied, and Bo very much at the bottom. But either way, happy to hear it, happy to see it, happy to look at this lineup and feel a lot better about it. It feels like that's one wrinkle of this Mets offseason that you can kind of come close to saying, okay, the offense is done at this point. The offense
Yeah,
has, seven capable hitters in it, enough to compete with really good teams in the National League. Um, but we'll see. I'm hoping that we're hopping on the mics again somewhat soon because I think the Mets are going to kick it into gear. I think that's all I got though. You have any last parting
same.
thoughts on Mr. Bo Bichette?
I don't. You can hear my thoughts on BNNY tonight. So I'll be I'll be on tonight. We were planning all different things to talk about. Now we'll be talking Bo Bichette and similar stuff. So tune in, please.
Make sure you tune in. Make sure you subscribe to the Shea Station channel. Leave us a rating on your podcast app if you're listening there. Leave a like on the video. Appreciate you guys supporting us through the off season. Been a quiet off season for us, but hopefully it'll kick into gear for 2026. Nice first episode of 2026. Only took about 16 days. Very
Happy
good.
New Year. Can we still
Happy
say
New
that?
Year. Yeah,
All
right.
right.
Yeah, sweet. All right,
Let's
we'll
go
see you
Mets.
guys hopefully soon. Let's go Mets.